Hello, welcome to video number 6 in the ABCs of Ethics Bowl. I'm Dr. Richard Green. This is the final in the series, and so this video is just entitled "Some Final Considerations." Right, these are some things that you may benefit from knowing. So one, you've probably heard this a number of times already, but just a reminder, right? Ethics Bowl is not a debate. We've set this up to be a friendly conversation. Part of the beauty of the Ethics Bowl is that students can engage in this activity and agree with one another when in fact they do, right? So, contrast this with a regular type debate where one team is assigned pro, the other team is assigned, con for some issue, and they go at it. And that's just an exercise in argumentation, right? So it's a good exercise. It's perfectly worthwhile, and I don't mean to be dissing it, but it's not what we're doing here, right? What we're doing here is having teams get together and work for a long period of time on a number of cases, right? These are the kinds of cases that come up. So this is good training for the rest of their lives. How do I approach tough moral issues, especially when there's reasonable things to believe on every side? And they discuss those in the competition with other teams. So, if one team's on one side of the issue and the other team's commenting, they're perfectly welcome to, and it happens quite frequently, to say, we like your view. We agree with your view, right? We don't see how you got quite to this point here, or why do you maintain that this claim supports your view? Or maybe it doesn't work as well as you think. Or what would you think about this argument instead, an alternative, right? So we're looking for a conversation. Now, of course, teams, as I emphasized when we were talking about regional competitions, sometimes do disagree, and that's perfectly fine. We don't like your view because it does, makes the following claims that don't seem to work together, or is based on something that we think, is dubious or potentially false, right? So you don't have to agree, but you don't have to disagree, right? It's, again, not a debate. Ethics Bowl is a thoughtful conversation. This is how we should all be discussing moral issues, throughout our lives, and non-moral issues, political issues, and other issues, right? In a respectful way, where you kind of think of it as two teams working hard to get to the bottom, the important part, the kernel of truth, etc., of some tough issue. Okay, second, just a bit of recommendation. Familiarize yourself with the Ethics Bowl etiquette document. And this, along with some of the other materials, will be made available to you as you're receiving the links to these videos. So you should have them already, but if not, they'll be forthcoming. But the Ethics Bowl etiquette document is particularly important, I think. It sets the tone, and you want your students to be familiar with this as well, of the entire bowl, right? We can't just will the kind of conversation I was describing a moment ago to happen, right? We need to sort of make it clear how it can happen. And I think that etiquette's sort of a big part of that. And it's nice, right? The teams aren't going to browbeat each other. They're not going to insult one another. The judges aren't going to do it, right? Sometimes a judge will have a strong opinion on something, but they're not going to say, oh, why do you think this? Why do you think that? It's going to be respectful across the board. So we do make sure that the judges and moderators look at this as well. Related, Ethics Bowl is run by volunteers. So be respectful of them. But to the point here, if you like what you see at the Ethics Bowl, and you'd like to be involved, there are plenty of opportunities to participate, and that will come up at the workshop, or drop me a line, or drop Rachel a line, or the current chair of the Ethics Bowl, Dr. John Garcia, right? And there's a number of roles people can be on various committees. The rules committees, really fun committee to be on. You get to sort of shape the bowl, right? There's a diversity committee and so forth. There's committees involving regional organizers. You could be on the national organizing committee, right, and be part of putting the bowl together. Any number of ways to participate. A lot of people are involved in this, but we welcome all the help we can get, and it's nice to meet new people and bring new people aboard. Okay, typical ethics bowl expenses, right? I maybe should have put the word typical in scare quotes. To some extent, there's nothing quite typical about it, because everyone's circumstances is different, right? If you're in, I don't know, Chicago, and your regional competition's happening in Chicago, your expenses are going to be very different than somebody who's 300 or 400 miles away from their regional competition or more, right? At the Wasatch Regional, frequently a team from the University of Nevada, Las Vegas will come up. So they're traveling about 500 miles. But that said, let me give you an idea of some of the things that you might expect to see, right? So there's regional and national registration fees, and those are on the web page, right? So you pay the regional fees when you register for the regions. If you qualify for nationals, then you pay a national fee. API has a membership fee, right? So teams that participate need to purchase an API membership. You need to think about transportation to the competitions. Again, using the example I just gave, if you're very nearby, that's just a matter of having the students drive there and show up. If you're a ways away from your regional competition, or you go to the national competition, right, then you might be looking at renting a van to bring a team, or you might be looking at bus fare or train fare or airfare for all members of the team. So as you're sort of thinking about what the year will look like, and you're approaching the administration about getting it going, you might think, well, we could have up to $250, $300 in registration fees, and maybe another 100 and so forth. And if you're gonna travel, you might need $300 per person for airfare, or less for a van. Lodging, right, is sometimes a concern. Again, if you're close to the regional or national competition, you won't have a big lodging expense, but if you are traveling to it, then you will. And the competitions start early in the morning, and they go into the afternoon, in some cases in the regionals, well into the evening at the nationals, right? So you want to prepare for that. It might be one night, it might be 2 nights. There may be gas involved, parking, right? Hotel parking, car rental. Some coaches have a travel per diem, so you may have expenses there. Airport parking, some teams opt to provide team meals, others don't. Sometimes there's printing charges, right, if you're printing out cases. It's nice now, I think, that almost everything can be electronic. So, most teams are able to avoid printing charges, but you may have some. So those are the kinds of things that you'll want to go, factor into the mix. And then you can do your own research and say, well, we're traveling, from Duluth to Indianapolis for this regional competition. Here's how we're going to get there. How much is that going to cost? Here's how many nights we're going to stay in hotels. How much is that going to cost, and so forth. Okay. Finally, the ABC session at the workshop is not a session this year, since we have these videos, where we have planned a presentation. We've already done that over the 6 videos. So you will have, I'm sure you have questions. You'll have plenty of opportunities to have your questions answered there. We've set aside an hour. And if you have more questions than that, Rachel and I are both available via email and so forth. So we look forward to seeing you at the workshop and getting to know you and talking to you further. I hope this has been very helpful for you. Thank you.